Hello. This is Tiffany with Healthy Passions. If you do not know me, let me briefly introduce myself. I am a certified personal trainer, certified wellness coach, certified energy healer by birth. I am an oracle, prophetess, and a natural healer. Today we're going to pick back up with Jeremiah chapter 2, where we left off before. That way that we can kind of go back to the study that we had. Most High allowed me to have a little bit of rest in between because when I am doing this study, Jeremiah is very deep, and so it's a very draining type process for me. Just for example, I wanted to do chapter 2, 14 through 27, but I was only able to get to the verse 20 because it's very draining when I'm asking questions and dealing with the Holy Spirit. So I kind of split it up. So it'll be chapter 2, verses 14 through 20, and then after that I'll go from 21 to 27 because these are some very deep messages that we're going to try to get through today. And I do apologize ahead of time if I sound stuffy. It is a horrible allergy day to me, so I am fighting with these allergies today, but I am going to push through just to make sure that we can get back on track with the studying that we need to do. Jeremiah is very deep, and I'm going to start with reading chapter 2, verses 14 through 20, and go from there. And I'll do my best to get through it so that I can finish this part of it and then the other second part of it if possible. All right, so let's get started. So Jeremiah chapter 2, verses 14 through 20. I'm going to read it first. I do apologize. I do read a different type Bible, and in this Bible, sometimes it uses English, and then sometimes it uses the Hebrew word, so sometimes it's going to be hard for me to pronounce, but I will do my best. I am a strong reader, but like I said, different language is kind of hard sometimes. So let's start with 14. Is Israel a servant? Was he born in the house? Why is he given to plunder? The young lions roared at him. They growled and made his land waste. His cities have been burned without inhabitant. Even the sons of Noth and of Taphanes, I think that's correct, I'm pronouncing it the best I can, have shaven the crown of your head. Have you not done this to yourself by forsaking Yahuwah, your Elohim, when he led you in the way? And now why take the way of Egypt to drink the waters of Shahor? Or why take the way of Ashur to drink the waters of the river? Your own evil instructs you, and your backsliding reproves you. Know therefore and see that it is evil and bitter that you have forsaken Yahuwah your Elohim, and that my reverence is not in you, declares the Adam Yahuwah of hosts. All right, so I'm actually going to stop at 19 and go from there. Let me correct my notes. That way I can start from the second video. It's going to be verses 20 through 27. Thank you. I had to make a correction there. That's where I want to stop. All right. So that is where we are. If you would go ahead and read that over in your own Bible as well before you get started. You can kind of take a good look, pause the video if you need to, whatever the case may be, or read along. So let's start with chapter 2, verses 15. Well, let's start with 14. So 14 says, is Israel a servant? Was he born in the house? Why is he given to plunder? Okay, so these are some questions. There's 3 questions here, and to break that down, how that looks is when we say, is Israel born, to be, is Israel born to be a servant? Meaning, We have went into captivities repeatedly over and over again due to our choices and our actions, due to our sin in forsaking of the Most High. There's many documented times to where we were in captivity over and over again by doing the same basic actions of sin, and then forsaking our Elohim, right? So he's asking, were we born to be a servant? And the truth is, no, we were not, but our actions have put us there. And the second question here is, was he born in the house? All right, this is to provoke thought. All right, yes, we were born in the house. We were kings and queens. We were royalty to the Most High. We were set apart and set on a, what I would call a pedestal for the world to see. We were to be the light of the world. We were born in good pedigree and good standing, right? We were born knowing who we are and whose we were, in a great position. We had a lot of power at one point, right? So if we were born not to be a servant, and we were born in a house to whom we belonged to our Father, and we had a name, and we had power, and we had position and privilege and pedigree, why is it now that he is starting to see in his vision and his prophecy, why is it then that we are given over to plunder, right? Why are we been taken so low off the pedestal that we were originally put on? So 15 says, the young lion roared at him, they growled, and made his land waste. His cities have been burned without inhabitant. Okay, so in the time that this happened, Jeremiah declared that the northern armies would come in and burn our cities down, take us hostage, murder us, and take our things, right? And steal everything that we had. So the young lions would be the representation of the northern armies that were mentioned in the prophecy beforehand, before, that we've already went over, all right? And even the smaller cities. So if you go to 16, it says, even the sons of Noth and Tephon, they have shaven the crown of your head. So even the smaller cities whom we had control over for a long period of time, who were no threat to us, have came in and mocked us and taken and shaven our crowns. They have taken part in the taking down of us, when they at one point could never, you would never think that they would ever have power over us. But even the smaller cities were able to take over because the Most High allowed it to happen due to our choices and our actions, right? So we had control over them, and we thought at some point we got high-minded, and we thought that we would control them forever. Like no one was strong enough to take over us. Like we had did it in our own power, and we had got arrogant, and then Most High allowed even smaller cities to come in and take over us as well. So at that point, we were downtrodden and defeated, and what Jeremiah is seeing in the prophecy is that our people who were highly esteemed, highly respected, very powerful, were then a pitiful sight to see. We were brought down to nothing in the prophecy, right? Now, in modern day, the way that you can see this, let me give an example of how we can bring this to modern day. Let's say, for instance, America being told that it would fall, that it would no longer be the leading world superpower, that it would be dismissed and embarrassed by other nations that once showed reverence to us, that once showed fear to us, things like that. They were warned for at least 70 years as well, because this is a 70-year warning that Jeremiah gave them before the prophecy came through. So America was warned for over 70 years, especially in the last 50 years, especially in the last 20 to 30 years. We were warned that judgment would come to us, right? And now the prophecy is unfolding before their eyes. They stand in disbelief. So here we are. You hear so many people saying we want to go back to the way things were. We want to make America great again. Well, America has fallen, and the Most High is letting us know that, hey, America will never be the superpower that it is going to, that it used to once be. It will never go back to those glory days. So Trump or anyone else will not be able to make America great again, because once the Most High declares that a place is going to fall, it is going to fall. And that means, going back to the prophecy of Jeremiah, even with his own children, it happened with us first. So we've seen this play out before. It happened with us first. He dealt with his children first. And now at 2025, he's dealing with the other nations. So you're seeing kind of like a replay of what happened, right? But even though it's happening to the other nations at this point, we kind of know what to expect based on what we learned from the past, right? So if we go to chapter 2, verse 17, it says, have you not done this to yourself by forsaking Yahuwah, your Elohim, when he led you in the way? So have you not done this to yourselves by forsaking Yah, right? So our God gave us a certain way to live. He showed us how to be set apart, how to be considered righteous, how to follow the laws and commandments that were set in our covenant. They were set laws, statutes, and commandments that were in our covenant that kept us on top, that kept us the superpower, that kept us in good standing with the Most High. And he led us in those ways, but our choice to forsake that forsook our position. It took us out of, we let other nations and other desires and sin take us out of position, take us out of destiny, take us out of what was originally meant to be, right? So let's go to 2:18. Chapter 2, verse 18. It says, and now why take the way of Egypt to drink the waters of Shapor? Or why take the way of Ashur to drink the waters of the river, right? So I see a little more in this, but I'm going to take what I have in my notes to give to you. It says, you take the ways of Egypt, you drink the waters of Shapor, you take the ways of Ashur, right? So in today's concept, let's see how we can look in that, because America is considered spiritual Egypt. We could say America, we took the ways of the America, the corporation, and we drank of her waters, and then we drank of the waters of Europe, extending from that, because a lot of the ways that we have in America come from Britain or Europe, and then the ways of China. So we have taken the ways of Egypt, which is spiritually America, and then we've taken the ways of Europe and China. These are these superpowers that kind of have a lot of control in these lands at this time. So if you want to look at it in present day, it's kind of like that. But back then, let's go back to the prophecy. It says, you as a people try to assimilate, right? We as Hebrew Israelites, the bloodline, try to assimilate and take their ways. We took their bribes or their money. We took their gods, their traditions, the ways of that they followed their traditions. We took and assimilated that on by the millions. Many of us done that. And back then, and even today now, many of us are still stuck in the ways of the other nations, right? So you will see a lot of Israelites who have gone into the false Constantine Christianity. You have seen them go into Buddhism, to become Muslim, and other types of religions that have nothing to do with them. All of the major religions, you will see many Israelites in them, even as in today, right? So it is no denying that a lot of the bloodline have, when they were scattered along to the lands that they were in, they have taken on the customs and the ways of the nations that they were scattered into. And it's still true to this day, all right? Most of us are involved in communities or even religions that have enslaved our people, disrespected our people, taken and stolen from our people. They have assumed our identities and put us at the bottom. They have hated us and despised us, etc. So Hebrews are stuck in that, forever being at the bottom for a very, very long time, 400 plus years, right? And so now that that time is coming to end, we are seeing prophecy unfold in present day. But this is the beginning. What Jeremiah is talking about, the beginning of this time happening, right? All right, so a lot of Hebrews brag to be treated as equals in these nations, all over the four corners of the world. Everywhere that we were scattered, we beg to be equal. We beg for justice, just to be treated, just to be misused, mistreated, mocked, hated, oppressed, unequal to everyone in the area, unjustly treated. Laws were made against us. No justice in the judicial system. We are treated horribly in that system. Never a fair trial. Portrayed as super predators, murderers, rapists, etc. Everything that our oppressors have proven to be, they have given us as a people as a whole their identity, and then presented themselves as who we were, right, or who we still are, right? So they portray themselves as righteous, justice, you know, the righteous group, the children of the Most High, one in truth. They are the super predators, the murderers, the rapists, and the oppressors, right? But we were at one time considered the righteous ones, the ones who had authority over the scriptures, the ones who had cooled with the Most High. So they have assumed those positions for many centuries, and it's just not so. But we beg to be a part of their system so that we wouldn't be mistreated, so we wouldn't have to go to chattel slavery and all those things. But we still went through it because no matter what, spiritual law always overtakes man-made law. So if the Most High says we have to go through those curses, we have to go through those curses based on our actions. If we break spiritual law or the laws that the Most High has put in front of us, no matter what, we are going to go through the consequences of those actions, because the Most High's words cannot come back to him void. So if he says, and this goes for everyone, not just his children, if everyone, the spiritual universal law is, if you do certain things, these things will happen unto you. And that is just the consequences you have to do. Even when you repent, you still have to go through certain consequences, right? So it doesn't matter. Spiritual law overtakes man-made law. So let's go to 19. Right, so we're still at 19. So your own evil instructs you. So yes, go in here. So your own evil instructs you, and your backsliding reproves you. Know therefore and see that it is evil and bitter that you have forsaken Yahuwah your Elohim. And my reverence is not in you, declares the Adam Yahuwah of hosts. Right, so it's saying here, your own evil instructs you. How does that look? When we take on other religions and other deities and other customs, it looks like this in the spirit realm. We are worshiping lower deities, fallen angels, and demons, right? And so those demons instruct us, but we gave them permission by coming to them and allowing them to do so. But you invited them to lead you. It was your choices, your actions that gave them legal permission, the legality, all right, for the enemy to lead you further into sin, folly, and destruction. So we went deeper and deeper because we initially gave these demonic entities, Satan himself, permission, or the legality. We come into contract with him when we went into sin. So if we forsake our ways and stop doing what the Most High has asked us to do, and we start following his laws and commandments, that then gives them permission to totally do us in. And because Satan has so much hatred for the children of the Most High, we have seen the worst atrocities that the world has ever seen for the longest of times. He hates us, right? He even caused the other nations to hate us as much as he hates us, in order for them to have what Brother Judah calls upper mobility into the world. So we were giving the short end of the stick, and probably the worst, because the Most High hates us the most. He comes for the Most High seed, his children. So, but we initially brought that and invited that in, right? So when you ask how could these atrocities happen to me, know that it was your choices, your actions, right? You caused the access to be there for the enemy to come in through our backsliding. And your backsliding reproves you, right? So when you go into the dictionary, you look up the word. It's a short definition. To reprove means to reprimand or censor someone, right? So the reprimands, the things, the actions that we did in our backsliding means to go against the laws and commandments of the Most High. So therefore we get reprimanded by that automatically. So it's not necessarily the Most High doing it to you per se. It's just the spiritual laws that are set in place. An eye for an eye, what people call karma, right? Things like that. If you live by the sword, you die by the sword. These are spiritual laws that are going to happen. You cannot stop them, and it happens for everyone. These spiritual laws are for everyone on the planet Earth. It's not just for the Israelites. It's for everyone. But the Israelites felt that same consequence. We were set apart, but we are not set apart from having to follow the spiritual laws or the laws and the commandments that the Most High has put. So those consequences are automatically due to us based on spiritual law that he set beforehand, before time. So when things happen due to the actions of our sin or forsaking the Most High, your Elohim, know that it was your evil that brought it forth. It was our actions, our thoughts, our chaos that brought it forth. Know that at this point, his reverence is not with you, declares the Most High Yahuwah. So the definition of reverence is deep respect for someone or something. So that is saying that we, as a people, didn't respect or have reverence to the Most High, so therefore his deep respect and reverence was not given to us, meaning that his Holy Spirit would be removed from us due to our actions. And I'm going to leave that at there, because we're almost at 30 minutes, and I still got about 7 more verses that I want to put out right after this, so that I can keep the mind going and the study going the way that it needs to flow. That way we'll be on the same page, so when I do come back, we'll be able to kind of finish this out. So this was Jeremiah chapter 2 verses 14 through 20. After that, it's going to be Jeremiah chapter 2 verses 21 through 27. All right, I love you guys. Take care. Have a good day.